Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our listeners. Good morning to our internet following us online. Good morning, everybody. I'm wishing you a good Friday morning. We are happy on the platform today. We have a distinguished guest with us today. I would like to make sure that you know on this platform, we talk about politics, we talk about society, we talk about education, because we know these are the pillars of the community, these are the pillars that help us grow. Today, we're going to speak about the new development happening in the Democratic Party, where President Biden has exited the race and he has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Since that endorsement, Vice President Kamala Harris has already gained all the delegates necessary to be the next nominee for the Democratic Party. This is a masterclass. Everybody in the Democratic Party is very excited about the new energy, the new momentum that the Democratic Party is experiencing now. In just under 48 hours, the Kamala Harris ticket has already garnered more than $125 million. This is the chess war that's going to propose the candidacy of Kamala Harris to the presidency. But we have challenges on the way. We better be ready. And today we have a distinguished guest with us who's going to discuss the momentum, the new momentum that VP Kamala Harris has brought to the Democratic Party. This distinguished guest is Dr. Barbara Sharief, Broward County's first Black female mayor, county commissioner, and president of the Florida Association of Counties. Born and raised in South Florida, she comes from a family of 10 with 7 siblings. Dr. Barbara Sharief loves to serve her community, speak up for those who do not have a voice, and is passionate about leading Florida into the future. Dr. Shariff is a certified medical professional with over 25 years of experience in the field of nursing, a mother of 3, a businesswoman, and founder of a home health care agency, a featured author, and a representative of the people. At a young age, Dr. Sharif lost her father to gun violence. This experience and her parents' example instilled in her a strong work ethic and a drive to help others in any way she could. This life event has fueled her desire to continue to contribute positively to her community. With me today, I'm going to have Mr. Jean-Marie Olivier that's going to conduct this prestige interview with Dr. Sharif. Jean-Marie Olivier, welcome on Time Out 360.
Good morning, Dr. Barbara Sharief. Good morning, Engineer Jay. We are happy to be here with the candidate for Florida District 35, which you will speak of it a little bit later. Tell us more about herself and also about the district that she's engaging to. First time that I've had the opportunity to meet Dr. Baba Sharif. That was with the late friend Patrick, Dr. Patrick Jabron, when she was doing some, Patrick was doing some things at Nova University that she was the guest speaker at the time. It was very interesting to hear about Dr. Baba Sharif at the time as mayor of Broward County. So, not to spend more time, let us introduce Dr. Baba Sharif, which she will speak about herself, her endeavor, and how she feel about the momentum that Vice President Kamala Harris has brought to the ticket. Without further ado, Dr. Baba Sharif, good morning and welcome to Time Out. Bienvenue.
Uh, good morning. Thank you for having me. This has been such an amazing week for the Democratic Party. We started off this weekend where we had a little bit of a lull in our momentum in our campaign. And on Sunday, when President Biden decided that it would be a good idea to hand over the reins of the nomination to Vice President Harris, it really truly energized our party in a way that we never even expected. And so this week, our Black community has been very energized. I myself sat on a call on Sunday night until the wee hours of the morning, probably 1:30 a.m., with over 40,000 Black women who were just motivated to help Vice President Harris get across the finish line. And I got to tell you, this is such a momentous occasion for our community.
Well, it is very well to know. I'm glad that the momentum has also transformed South Florida, transform yourself as well. But I'm sure between Engineer Jay and I, we sure have some questions. One quick questions as we move forward. How do you feel about, how do you think we should move forward for turning Florida blue for Kamala Harris? What do you think about that, Dr.
Yeah, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to get voters motivated to vote in this August primary. It is critically important that we start to get our voters in the mood of being back at the polls again. So I hear when I knock on doors and when we call people, people say, I'm just going to vote in the presidential election. But you actually need to vote in the primaries as well so that you can give the president the help that she will need as she moves forward. Remember, we have 4 levels of government that can affect you. We have the city government, we have the county government, we have the state government, you have the United States Congress and the United States Senate before you get to the president. And what's important is that all those races are on the ballot in August and some are in for November. So you have to pay attention to both if you plan on helping us to move this country forward. I'm in the August 20th primary. We've already started voting now, but many people don't know that the vote by mail ballots have already dropped over the last 2 weeks. What is important for people to understand is that affordability has been a big issue here in Broward County. People can't pay their rent, they can't pay their mortgages because the property insurance is up and the property taxes are up. The property taxes, you got your homeowner's insurance that's going through the roof, 45, 50% increases. It's a lot here in the state of Florida. We were already unaffordable. Now we're really unaffordable. So what can you do? You can go to the ballot box and make sure that you vote in August as well as in November. And that's going to help to move this country forward.
Dr. Sharief, I know you are an example to our community, and we collaborate a lot on different projects together. As the first Black female mayor for Broward County, what was your experience? What was the biggest challenge you faced in terms of not really the entire county, but mostly regarding your community in serving your community, the most important issues, the most pressing issues for you?
So we faced 3 big issues. One of them was homelessness. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many people had lost their homes, they lost their jobs, and we faced an issue with families being homeless during that time. And so we had to figure out a way to do what we call rapid rehousing, get more HUD dollars, and the county had to actually take money from its general fund budget and set it aside to stop that from homeless families being homeless and food insecure. The second issue that I dealt with on a countywide level is healthcare. We have a very large senior population in Broward County. and people were having to choose between medication and food. And that's still the case today, but a lot less. And what we found is that if we can push through Medicaid expansion, we can help seniors with the long-term care and help them with affording their prescription drugs and the medications that they need to live a better quality of life. And the third thing that came up is property taxes and insurance. That has been a huge issue for years. Affordability, overcrowding, not being able to have affordable units. And what we came up with is ways to work in public-private partnerships so that we can use the public sector to help governments build on slots of land where we can go vertical so that we can get the density that we need so that we can decrease the amount, the cost of affordable housing. We've seen that there's a high demand for those units, and that's something that we can help with on a statewide level with the fund called the Sadowski Trust Fund. The Sadowski Trust Fund was made during the time that Bob Graham was governor, and it is a fund that's specifically set aside to make housing and living in the state of Florida affordable. That fund has been depleted over the many years because they're rolling it into the general budget. As a state senator, I would advocate to separate that fund again and help the local governments. And those are just a few things that we can do and issues that I've handled on a countywide level that translate into the state Senate.
Dr. Barbasha, if you mentioned that the primaries, they started to vote.
Yes.
Therefore, you're facing a challenger in the primary as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And are they starting within the Broward County? Any precinct that our voters can go to, or are there specific places or mail-in ballot? These are have come out already.
So the mail-in ballots have already been mailed over the last 2 weeks. So voters can check their mailboxes. A lot of people throw them away mistakenly, thinking that they're garbage mail. It's big white envelopes with and it'll say Supervisor of Elections. So please check your mailbox to make sure you're not throwing that away. Those mail ballots have already started coming in over the last 2 weeks, and we're seeing more returns this week, which is a good thing. Early voting is going to start on the week of August the 9th. So at the weekend of August the 9th, we'll start the early voting. Early voting will go into August the 18th. There'll be 1 day off to reset for Election Day, which is the 19th. And then the elections will be held on Tuesday, the 20th of August. So that's Tuesday, the 20th of August. We will have elections. Make sure that you're ready.
Yeah, it's good to understand your parameter that you are running for, that you're a candidate. I know it's Florida Senate District 35. What is the parameter? Because as I live in Plantation, I don't think I'm in your district.
No. So my district starts with a very small piece of Hollywood. It's the western portion of Hollywood. And then it goes into Miramar, and it encompasses everything in Miramar all the way up through the Turnpike. And then the next part of the district is Pembroke Pines, all of it, Weston, all of it, Davie and Cooper City, everything, and Southwest Ranches, everything. And then the next part of it is Sunrise. We have a small piece of Sunrise. So we have Pembroke Pines, Davie, Cooper City, Southwest Ranches, and Weston. All of those cities are included. We have about 85% of Miramar. We have a very small piece of Sunrise, and we have a very small piece of Hollywood. What I would advise is that everybody just check their ballots to make sure that they can vote in this District 35 race.
And make sure that they see the name Dr. Barbara Sharief to be listed on their ballot. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
they need to vote for Dr. Barbara Sharief. I'm glad to know that. Engineer J. Yeah.
Dr. Sheriff, we know that Miramar has a big Haitian population in Miramar, and we have a question online that asking a question similar regarding the Haitian community. It says, what kind of needs or specific needs to the Haitian community you have faced as Broward County mayor and plan to tackle as state senator as well?
So one of the things that I tackled as the mayor of Broward County was the issue with food insecurity in Haiti, especially during the times of the earthquake and also times during the hurricanes and flooding. We sent over tankers, huge containers full of food and medical supplies to Haiti. Right now, part of the biggest problem in our Haitian community is immigration. People have been here and they're trying to get their papers legally, and many of the policies that the Republicans have put in place are blocking that. As a sure that TPS is extended, and make sure that on a statewide level that we're doing everything that we can to get our Haitian residents that are here processed and to get them their citizenship papers. And I'm going to continue to do that as a state senator. I think it's vitally important that when people come here for a better life, that we really give them the opportunity to have that. I can't hear you.
Jean-Marie, your mic is off.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Now, as you mentioned, the food insecurity, Dr. Barbara Sharief, that it is that you had tackle while you were mayor, and also that you plan to continue that as a state senator. As you mentioned earlier, the housing, we know there's a problem with affordable housing as you targeted the premium of the insurance, especially starting last year. They went over the roof. What can you do as a state senator to kind of whether bring a bill or what do you think you can advocate toward this premium of the insurance company? Because they kind of double up from 2022 to 2024. It seems their premium has doubled.
Yes. So my premium for my house went up by almost 50% this year. And I never had a claim. And my house is 9 years old. And so I thought that was kind of exorbitant. So what I proposed was legislation to cap the ability of the insurance providers to raise the rates on policy holders when there's been no damage. And so what that looks like is that I'm proposing legislation that they cannot raise the cost of insurance, property insurance, by more than 3 to 5% per year on a homeowner. And that's something that I think is going to help. The other thing that's going to help us, and I know that it's kind of offset, but I need to bring it up. On your line items on your property tax bill, you see something called the ad valorem tax. And that ad valorem tax is being paid for something called indigent care funding. Indigent care funding is funding for people who don't have health insurance. Now, the state of Florida has had Medicaid expansion on the table for many years under the Obama administration, under the Biden administration, under the Trump administration, and they refuse to accept the Medicaid expansion dollars. So there's billions of dollars sitting in the United States budget that's allocated for Florida expansion. If we were to accept those Medicaid expansion dollars, we could decrease our property tax bill for that ad valorem tax line for indigent care funding, because everyone would then be covered under the federal Medicaid plan if we took the expansion. And so what we need to start doing is educating our voters about the Medicaid expansion that can help decrease their property tax bills. We collect, just to give you an understanding, we collect $775 million to $800 million a year in indigent care funding from homeowners on their property tax bills. We can decrease the tax bill if we get our Medicaid expansion through. And so that's why I'm pushing real hard for that as the state senator.
Well, I'm glad that you are educating me as well, Dr. Baba Sharif, based on the mention, the note of that Medicaid expansion. But I believe that's something that is started from the former governor, Rick Scott, who is our current senator. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. And he has a challenger. He has a Democratic challenger, Debbie Mukersel Powell, right now. They're trying to get him out of there so that we can make sure that we get that Medicaid expansion. And I want to let you know something else about Medicaid expansion. It helps seniors. Anything that's not covered under Medicare, a senior can apply for Medicaid expansion and get it covered. And the main thing is long-term care and respite care. People who are aging in their homes, They don't have to go to facilities to get care. They can stay right in their homes, and we can send people to care for them under the Medicaid expansion program. And we can pay for drugs that other people can't pay for under the Medicaid expansion program. So anything that's not covered under Medicare, anything that they're paying out of pocket for, can be covered under the Medicaid expansion. That's the benefit to everyone in our community.
Well, thank you
Dr.
very
Sheriff,
much.
we have a long time we've been under the governance of the Republican Party. For more than 25 years, I would say we only have Republican governors at the state level. Most elected offices at the state level is held by a Republican. And in the legislature, the Florida legislature has about 160 voting members, 40 senators, 120 representatives. But out of these representatives, the Republicans' majority has 28 senators. The Democratic Party has only 12 senators. And
Yes.
for the representatives, out of the 120, the Republicans has 83 representatives, and the Democratic Party has only 36. Which I mean, why I mention that is because that creates a supermajority in the legislature. So
Yes.
anything you want to do will be very difficult to do because the chairman of the committees might not even bring your bill to the floor, or even in committee, they might not even bring it up. So how do you expect to challenge that supermajority, and how can we change the dynamics?
So the dynamics are going to be changed election cycle by election cycle. And this is what I talk about all the time. We have to hold on to seats and gain a few seats. In each election cycle, every 2 years, you're going to be able to do that because state representatives are up every 2 years. So you have every 2 years to challenge to try to change the majority in the state house. In the state Senate, the same thing. But those seats are 4-year seats, but you'll have somebody up every two. Okay. So right now here for us, the way that we get things done is taking issues that are cross party lines. So for example, healthcare, the things that I talked about, those are issues that are, they're not singular issues. These are things that everybody wants. So whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, you get those issues. Things like taxes and insurance, those things are not partisan. They affect everyone. Things like flooding in neighborhoods, bad aging infrastructure, water impurities, those are all issues that can be bipartisan issues. And what I'm saying is, yes, you have a supermajority, but there are ways of getting things done that really affect our community in positive ways. We can do that. And it's going to be challenging when you get to issues like reproductive rights. It's always challenging on those types of issues. But when we try to focus on the things that we can go ahead and push through, we can be successful. And each time that we have an election cycle, the people of our community need to come out and vote. We have had a decrease in Black and brown voters in the state of Florida. Historically, we were a blue state. We have now become a leaning red state, and we can flip that back if we just get our people motivated to vote. I think Kamala Harris being on the ticket is going to do that, but I think we need to get people out for the August primary and make sure that they know that everything right now is on the line.
Just adding to the same question.
Yeah.
One is, I think in the legislature as well, with the governor in charge of the executive office, we have lots of gerrymandering. We know that he proposed two black representatives to be basically, they will close the district and merge it into other districts that are more favorable to Republicans. So these types of strategies really eliminating the power of our vote. So this type of shenanigans, how do we find them?
Well, you know, there are a lot of things that happened in the last session in terms of the session before last when they did the redistricting. But understand that only comes up every 10 years. So right now at this point, we're kind of stuck with what we have. And the only way to work within what we have, right, is to work on every 2 years getting another seat, right? Or a couple more seats. So that is the only way to deal with the gerrymandering problem. Yes, we've made court challenges. Yes, it's gone back and forth, but we know that the Supreme Court is primarily a Republican body, a Republican-led body. You know, they were appointed, majority are appointed by Republicans. We know that as a rule that they have not been favorable to challenging the gerrymandering in the districts. And so now we have to work on the ground with our voters to do better, to get our voters out to change, to flip these seats. And we can do that. Some of these seats can be flipped. We just have to get the numbers up.
Yeah, it's good to understand the thing that you mentioned earlier about healthcare. And I'm aware of it, that it has been a problem since the former governor, Rick Scott, which passed it on to the current governor, the same problem, because it was a challenge of even accepting Obamacare within the state.
Yes, it was.
What is it right now with the Insurance of Affordable Care Act called Obamacare within the state?
Yeah. So right now we have all of the health plans are active still under the Affordable Care Act, which is called Obamacare. They're still active and they just came up for renewal and they renewed them again. What is the issue is not that the plan is going away, but when Trump becomes president, his plan is to take away the Affordable Care Act. So the Affordable Care Act plans right now will renew up through January of next year. But if Trump beats President Harris, then he will his goal in his Project 2025 plan is to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. And that would also include our Medicaid expansion. And so it is really vitally important that people understand that they have to vote the right people into office so that we can keep the Affordable Care Act and we can get our Medicaid expansion.
We have a question from one of our listeners. He says, you mentioned Medicaid expansion to help minorities in the district. Do you think the governor will do the expansion?
Yes, I believe the governor will do the expansion if we can get enough bipartisan support for it. I also think that sometimes because they called it Medicaid expansion, I think that has been things that have been given a bad name. I think we need to figure out how to call it something else and get it through. They've done it in other states successfully. I think we can do it up here in Tallahassee. I think we just need to talk through how we do that without calling it Medicaid expansion, maybe calling it healthcare for all or something like that. But getting it through under a different name would probably help.
And
Changing
then
the
in
name.
continuation to the same question, the listener asked, under the Medicaid expansion, you mentioned long-term care for seniors.
Yes.
Currently, Medicare provides 4 hours maximum. If you get the expansion, how many more hours do you think the expansion can provide?
The expansion can provide whatever your physician feels or your nurse practitioner feels is medically necessary for you. That's why we have to get it. Currently, the people who are getting that 4 hours of long-term care maximum, they have to have a skill care. They have to have an RN coming into the home, and they have to meet certain criteria just to get the 4 hours maximum. Some people need more than that right now. What long-term care under Medicaid expansion will do is allow you to get your respite care up to 12 hours a day. It'll allow 8 hours in certain circumstances, and it'll pay for things that Medicare won't pay for, like memory care facilities. So currently, Alzheimer's care and long-term care for seniors for memory care issues is not paid for. They have to try to pay out of pocket, and it bankrupts most seniors. And that's why the husband is in a facility and the wife is living without being able to pay for everything because it bankrupts seniors. So we're going to stop that by expanding Medicaid and covering long-term care. And that's what it covers for seniors. It'll cover anything that Medicare won't cover.
it is very important that we all understand within the Haitian community that we must go out and vote. And as the candidate mentioned, you need to put the right people into the right place. And as she just mentioned a code word that we have heard lately, it's Project 2025. Dr. Baba Sheriff, if you can tell us a little bit of what you know of Project 2025.
Well, Project 2025 is trying to set us back 100 years. And what Project 2025 sets out to do is to destroy any diversity, equity, and inclusion that minorities have earned over this period of time to help us with evening the playing field and getting ahead in life. It is also destroying any immigration programs that are in place right now to allow people who have come here maybe illegally to gain citizenship. What they want to do is send everybody back and have them start over again. So you'll see a lot of deportation under Project 2025. They also attacks our HBCUs, colleges, the universities, and decreases the amount of funding and takes it away completely from others. Project 2025 also takes away WIC and Medicaid. They want to do away with Medicaid and WIC and any kind of food stamps or food security programs, social service programs that we have in the state of Florida. What's critically important about Project 2025 and what you need to know is that 85% of the babies born in the state of Florida are born under the Medicaid program. And their focus has been on dismantling the Medicaid program and taking away that continues. They consider that to be a handout. They consider that to be something that is not necessary to keep our population healthy. So that's important because we were going to have a lot more people without coverage if they get their way. When they take away WIC, which is Women, Children's, and Babies programs, that is a program that was specifically designed to help new mothers get formula for their babies and to get food so that they can breastfeed and make healthier babies in the Black and Brown communities that were struggling and that were below the poverty line. They want to eliminate that program. They also want to take away food stamps. Food stamps are for families that go below the poverty line and they need food so that they can be food secure and get fresh food, fruit, vegetables, and meat. They want to take away that program. They also are focusing on women's reproductive rights and health care. They want to eliminate women's access to birth control pills. They want to ban a woman's right to reproductive freedoms like choosing pregnancy versus not having to be pregnant. And they want to take away the funding for planned health clinics that do mammograms and free pap smears. That's part of what their overall arching plan is for Project 2025. And I think we as a Black community need to be very, very concerned about education for our kids, about our rights, our civil rights being taken away. They are trying to do away with vote by mail voting, which is something that Black and Brown people use primarily, especially Democrats. And so there's just this full-on attack in this Project 2025 that we cannot afford to let happen. Trump cannot gain presidency.
And we understand that the former president is supporting their project, if we understand that right.
Former President Trump, that is his plan. They came up with that with the United States senators that they have and the United States Congress people that they have and President Trump. They sat down and wrote that plan, and they are determined to implement that plan. They want to destroy all of our relationships on an international level. They want to pull the foreign aid that we're giving. They want to get in a fight with China. They want to make sure that we're not having goods and services imported from China or India or other places. They want to destroy anything that is coming from abroad, any trade that we have coming from abroad. Their goal is to destroy that trade relationship. And it's important because we have wars going on right now. And we have resources that are being allocated to those wars to keep America safe. They want to stop the resources from going out. And that can create a safety issue right here at home. And so Yeah.
It is good that our community, the Haitian community, understand, as we have Dr. Baba Sharief here as a candidate for District 35, to understand more about Project 2025. Maybe some of you in the community might be thinking, well, it's something people come up or the Democrat came up with it. You could Google Project
2025.
2025 yourself. You could print it yourself. You could read it yourself, and you see the whole shebang, I would say, the whole project, the whole detail. So it's not something that the candidate is coming up with. So
Right.
it's the Project 25 has been talking lately in the main media about the details. And when they talk about setback, well, we got to talk about as he mentions, targeting specific the immigrants, as we are immigrants. And it's good to understand, as I see Dr. Baba Sharief, a very well educated and prepared person, Project 2025 want to set her back as well. It
Yeah.
is disrespectful, you would say, as they start saying with the Vice President Harris that she is a DEI person, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So
Yeah.
it's like if you do your effort, you go to school, you learn, you got a degree, but they still want to label you. And that comes to the mind of when you mentioned, Dr. Sharief, name change with Medicaid expansion. Do you
Mhm.
think we should look at maybe changing the way that people try to label us as a
Yes.
DI?
Absolutely. I think, look, you can hear the tone of Project 2025 as it comes through when President Trump talks about immigrants taking Black jobs. I have never heard in my life, and I'm 52, I'll almost be 53 years old in November. I've never heard that term used, a Black job. What is a Black job? I, I don't know what a Black job is. There's plenty of jobs out there that I consider just jobs. I can't fathom in my
It seems
head.
that a Black job, you cannot hold a doctorate degree.
Yeah, I don't know what a Black job is. Somebody got to help me with that. Why is he referring to Black people and immigrants as people that of no value? It's like what he's saying is he doesn't expect anything from us other than us holding menial jobs, entry level jobs, and what he considers to be a Black job. Now, if that's not code word for racism and slavery, I don't know what else is, you know?
That surprised me a lot, Dr. Sheriff, when well-established professional women like yourself, with your career path extraordinary, somebody like Vice President Kamala Harris, extraordinary path to be Vice President, and they are to be labeled DEI. So is DEI the same thing as affirmative action in the past? What is DEI exactly?
So DEI is different than affirmative action. Affirmative action are the rights that were granted under the Constitution and the laws, okay, that allow us to be considered equal and for equal pay purposes, equal people and equal pay under the law for the same jobs, okay? That's more along the lines of affirmative action. Diversity, equity, inclusion comes in when you are applying for something. Say a small business is applying for a loan and they say we need to help minority communities, and so we're going to allocate a certain amount of these loans to minority and small businesses. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion. When you go to apply to a university and your children are there and it's a university that has a high rate of Anglo admissions versus minority admissions. And they say, okay, well, we're going to set aside 25% of our admissions to make sure that minorities get in. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion. So when you look at the two things together, they work in conjunction, yes, but they're two separate things. The DEI portion, they've already started to attack here in the state of Florida. They attacked that through the Supreme Court on a national level. where they said that DEI was unlawful, and so they started to tell the universities that they can't use that anymore. And what's that going to do is create a playing field that's not level and equal for our Black kids and brown kids. It's going to allow for people to take the slots, and many of our kids won't get into the universities and colleges that they want to get into. And that's why DEI was so important, because it righted a wrong for hundreds of years worth of wrong. It righted it. And now they're saying they're taking that away. That's a problem.
You mentioned the Supreme Court. Do you think President Biden has a plan, uh, according to a question I have online, to increase the number of justices in the Supreme Court? Would
Yes.
that be a good way to counteract this radical, conservative, right-leaning Supreme Court?
Well, absolutely. So they talked about increasing the Supreme Court by a couple of Supreme Court justices under the new presidency. But if we do that, and it's President Trump, that means our Supreme Court would be virtually all appointed by Republicans, and that would create danger for all of America, because we can see that with the majority of them ruling in the favor of the president. I mean, he's a convicted felon 34 times over, and they just said that none of that matters and that he can be forgiven for all of that through the ruling of the Supreme Court. I think it's critically important that we have people in that Supreme Court that stops the nonsense and foolishness from getting through. And at this point in time, we just don't have that. And so President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, if they were able to get in, if Vice President Kamala Harris was able to win as president, we would be able to see that we have some fair Supreme Court justices appointed when they try to expand the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that is right, because we need to understand the words that, it's fair for all of us. Law is equal to for all of us. But, the reformation that we had heard it from the speech a couple of days ago from the president, Joe Biden, he mentioned as far as reforming the Constitution, you would say the Supreme Court. He plans on doing this before he leaves. I think he was talking about it in a way. Is that something that they could do through executive action, or he has to be able to appoint other judges?
No, it's got to be done through the Congress, the U.S. Senate, and the president's office. So everybody has to vote and agree that has to be expanded. And right now, we know that they agree it has to be expanded, but we just don't want this president, Donald Trump, trying to get in, the former president, Donald Trump, trying to get in and expand it. But I think it's really important that we remember something also about Donald Trump, is that he has vowed that if he is, if he wins the presidency, okay, that he is going to make sure that he does away with any of these Department of Justice, the Department of Education. He's going to cut taxes. He's going to ban the sales of the morning after pill. He talks about that he wants to fire many of the government employees that are working right now in Washington, D.C., because he wants to streamline government. So you're talking about many people being unemployed under his regime, I should say. And it really, I think that people just truly don't understand the strong racial undertone of Project 2025. And I want to bring something else to your attention. Last week, the chair of the Republican National Committee sent out an email when Vice President Harris received the nomination, to the handover for the nomination from President Biden. He sent out an email and said, okay, guys, it's time to tone down the racism. It's time to tone down the rhetoric. Okay. He's telling them in an email to be less racist.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you send out an email to be less racist?
It's letting you know their plans of what they want to do, especially firing the civil servants as much as 50,000 civil servants and place their people that is loyal to him, which is another call, as you mentioned, that we within the Haitian community. I know some of you understand English, and we will talk a little more of that a little later on in Creole, because we all need to put our hand in that fight. It's
Yeah.
not a question, well, it's not for me since I'm okay. No, we're
No.
all in it together, and we have to stand up together and to fight this fight. As the vice president said, it's a fight that we must win, and we need to do it with a strong participation with all of our brothers and sisters. As one of the questions that we have online is to vote it down the ballot for
Yeah.
all Democrats. Know the people that you're voting for, and we need to understand who we are voting for, and especially, and when we think about Medicaid expansion, we need to think about our former governor, which is Rick Scott. And he is the current senator right now, and he is running. He is on the ballot today.
Yes.
Now, we need to understand that we need to reject him because he is the one that started with Obamacare.
Yes.
He is the one that started with
Yes.
denying the Medicaid expansion. We need to understand that, and we need to vote. We cannot just sit back and think it's going to work by itself. We need to stand up and vote and really participate in the process of America that's
Right.
giving
And to add
another
to
person
this,
who's going to take it away from us. Yes,
To
Engineer.
add to this, look, I would like to remind our listeners we are talking to Dr. Barbara Sharief. She is a candidate for Florida State Senate District 35.
Yes.
Dr. Sharief, I'd like you to remind us a little bit about the different cities that are in your district. And do you think that because we have VP Kamala is on top of the ticket with lots of new energy, with a new momentum, her candidacy will be able to help you in the down ballot race?
Absolutely. And I think her candidacy helps us with motivating voters to get out. You see, Black voters have not been as motivated as they are right now with President Kamala Harris on the ticket. I'm going to just claim it. We have the
Amen.
opportunity, okay, to have President Kamala Harris,
Amen to that.
okay, elected this year. People, I am a Black woman of 52 years old, and I never thought in my lifetime that I would see a Black female president that is so overly qualified. It's not just about her being Black. This woman is more qualified than any other vice president in this history of the United States. We got an opportunity to have somebody that's been in the White House 4 years dealing with all the problems that we're dealing with, somebody who knows how to hit the ground running on day one, somebody who's about fairness and equity. And I'm going to tell you something. Vice President Kamala Harris, soon to be President Kamala Harris, will not be sending your Haitian people home. We have an opportunity to let people who have been born here stay here. You know, under former President Trump, he wants to take the people, the Haitian people that are born here in the United States, and if their parents are here illegally or they hadn't gained citizenship yet, he wants to send the whole family back to Haiti.
That is true. That
That
is
is
correct.
true. That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous.
Yes.
You taking away the person who has a citizenship here and making them not a citizen because their parents haven't gained citizenship yet. You know, before they used to say the kids can stay, the parents will go, or the parents have to go through a process. But now this man is saying, I don't want anybody here. I just want to send the whole family back home. Make that make sense. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Dr. Sheriff, you are, if I'm not mistaken, from the Caribbean, specifically with your roots from Jamaica. Is that correct?
No, I'm from here in Florida. My father was from Alabama. My mom is from Mariana, Florida. I just do a lot in the Caribbean community, so people typically will associate me either
Man,
with
we love you. We love you in the Caribbean. Please, we'll give you citizenship in Haiti. We'll give you citizenship.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I love my Haitian brothers and sisters, okay? I love my Caribbean family. Let me tell you, the reason why I started was because I felt like the Caribbean population in our district didn't have a voice. And 14 years ago, I started going on Caribbean radio. And I started talking to friends, and they would say, "Come on a show." And so I started talking to them, and going to churches that had Caribbeans, and they just accepted me. And so I'm a transplant into the Haitian and the Jamaican community, and I love it.
As we have about, we would say about 7 minutes left, we want to give you some time, Dr. Baba Sheriff, to elaborate about your plans for District 35, your candidacy that you're running again, especially please mention the areas. We understand it's more of South Broward,
Yes.
the cities that you are involved in, and how someone can help because I know to run you're not running without money. Everybody needs money to run. So let us know how the community can donate to
Yeah.
your campaign.
So my district runs from a small portion of Hollywood all the way through to Miramar, up to the Turnpike, and all the way west. And then I have all of Pembroke Pines, Davie, Cooper City, West and Southwest branches. And then I have a small piece of Sunrise. And so there's 8 cities in this South Broward County district. Where I could use your help the most is if you can make phone calls, and if you can also come out and canvass with us during the weeknights or on the weekends when we're canvassing during the day. We're knocking on doors to make sure that our community knows that they have vote by mail ballots out that they have not turned in or that they have not requested. I don't know if you're aware that a year ago, the Republicans purged 345,000 vote by mail ballots in Broward County, and the majority of them were minorities. They were Black and brown people. And that's the people that we've been trying to reach to make sure that they know that their vote needs to count in this election cycle. And you can help us to reach them by knocking on doors, making phone calls. And if you can't do that, we would love for you to make a contribution to the campaign. You can reach our campaign at Sharief, Sharief, for Florida.com, or call 954-967-1900. That's 954-967-1900. And again, I am Dr. Barbara Sharief. I am the former mayor of Broward County. I served 2 times in that capacity, first African American female mayor in 100 years. I was elected statewide to the Florida Association of Counties, where I served all 67 counties of the state of Florida. And I served on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Transportation, spearheaded the transportation surtax for this community so that we could get community bus services, better roads, better signalization, bike lanes, and bus services for express bus service. I think that it's critically important that you have a state senator that knows what to do on day one. I have the experience. No other person in this race has the experience. No other person in this race has ever been elected. And I am humbly asking for your support for my candidacy for Florida State Senate District 35.
Dr. Sheriff, I'm going to give you a hint right now, and I'm going to give you a hint so you can win lots of vote in the Asian community. I'm going to teach you one word, sac passe.
Nabule, and I'll teach you
Yes.
my word. Me remenu ampel.
Thank you very
Nous
much,
l'aimons tout.
Dr. Barbara Sheriff. This is very much. And again, one more thing is that she is not a DEI. With
I
that
am a
clarification.
Democrat.
Yes.
Well, once
Dr.
again,
Sheriff, it was a pleasure to speak to you.
Yes.
It was a refreshing interview, and we hope that on August 20th, you win. We're going to support you. We're going to canvass with you. We're going to do fund making with you. We're going to donate with you because the Asian community support you and support your agenda. Anything you need, you can ask us and we will deliver. And then finally, and I think once you win on August 20th, we know it's going to be a breeze for November 5th.
Thank you. Thank
That
you
is
so much.
correct. That is true.
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Dr. Baba Sharief. Once again, thank you for coming on Time Out 360. Et nous tendez très bien. Votez, votez, votez. Faut pour nous pas perdre du temps, nous, pour nous comprendre que Jean mon envie là, il parler, il veut expliquer nous problème qui gagne, la medical expansion, que nous ouais nous pas joindre. Connaît bien depuis ces anciens gouverneurs X4 qui campaient bagaille ça et courant gouverneur des Santis fait même bagaille là. Et Jean lui parler, il y a set up pour yo ou même rien droit éducation, il a cherché pour yo retirer droit civil la main nous mêmes qui noirs. Il a cherché pour yo retirer droit civil la main immigrants. Là, il parle de projet 2025 là, c'est pas jouer, non, c'est ça qui fait encourager nous, nous-mêmes, nous devons aller en Google, nous lire pour compte pardon. C'est 900, plus que 900 pages que liées. Si vous voulez prendre temps ou aller au Google, ou même vous doit taper et gagner un website sur les stop the project 2025.org. Faut pour nous garder bagala, faut pour nous lire bagala pour nous même chef fait l'autre monde expliquer nous ça qu'il a donne et c'est pas l'autre monde qui mettait le nom mais propre yo même qui mettait. So faut pour nous participer, faut pour nous voter, faut pour nous engager nous. Et normalement, sous un problème, relais aux frères, relais aux sœurs, et nous connaissons ingénieur J spécialement qui c'est la Haitian American Democratic Club que nous ouais Dr. Baba Sharief plusieurs occasions qui rentre, qui participe, faut pour nous participer, faut pour nous mettre mais nous la patte là. On n'a pas arrêté chita, pied croisé, n'a pas blague, n'a joué domino, ou bien doit avoir joué domino, c'est en Haïti ou va jouer. Sinon,
Définitivement, définitivement. Definitely. Dr. Sheriff,
Yes.
last question for you. How would you like to be VP for Kamala Harris?
I would have loved to become Vice President Harris's VP, but I think she has to choose a man so that we can get across the finish line.
That's true. We have to choose a white
nice that
male.
answer. Thank you so much.
All
And
right.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching and thank you for being a part of us this morning. Thank you and have a good weekend.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye
Don't
bye.
forget to like, share, and subscribe. You're on Time Out 360.